Welcome, everybody, to There Will Be Bets. This is our Week 15 show for the NFL season. I am your host, Cole Oxane. As always, I am joined by my co-hosts, Jake LaSalle, Drew LaSalle. We're here to break down the entire Week 15 slate. We're finally through all of the crap. No more buys. We have a full slate of action. The playoffs are right around the corner. College football is kind of weaning down into bowl season, so it's all NFL from here, baby. So we're excited to break everything down. We're going to cover our best bets. We're going to cover the touchdown scores, the guys that we like to score this week. We're going to hit the props. We're going to hit the primetime games. We'll get you out of here with the best of the rest, and we'll do everything we always do on our breakdowns to get you ready for the weekend coming up. So we will jump in. As always, we always want to start with a couple of big storylines, and boy, was it a week for football. First, we're going to start with the most recent event. It was that Monday night game, which, is that a game? I don't know if we can call it a game. There were a dozen turnovers, maybe. I think, especially if you count the 2-on-1 play and everything going on, probably a dozen turnovers. MVP of the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts. They're calling for his head. They want him benched now in Philadelphia. I don't know what's going on. Jake, I know you were a little angry with how that game played out, given the way it ended especially, but what did you make of the disaster we saw in LA?
Yeah, there was a lot going on there. We said it last week in the podcast. The Eagles' offense is completely broken. They have no idea what they're doing out there. They can't get anything going, and like you said, just the turnovers. Chargers were throwing the ball over the yard into Eagles' hands. Justin Herbert clearly just was not functioning with, or he was functioning with only one hand, so he couldn't hold on to the ball. It was just a crazy game, but the most disappointing thing of that game was the coaching at the end of the game. Me and you had a parlay on it that was Eagles -2.5 with the Eagles team total under and the unders in the game, and it was had a chance to cash towards the end. All we needed was it to end 19-16 for the Eagles, and Sirianni just decided to become an idiot. He did a classic, just mismanaged the game. Usually he gets away with it and they win the game, but this week it finally bit him in the ass. Basically what happens, for anybody who didn't see it, the Eagles had a chance driving down the field. All they had to do was run the clock out, kick a field goal, and they decide in a tie game to throw the ball on second down with 2:20 left in the game to try and get a touchdown, which wouldn't have mattered anyways. You give the opposing team 2 minutes and 20 seconds to just tie the game, so doesn't put the game out of reach. All you needed in that situation was one more first down and to kick a field goal, and it's over. And instead, they decided to throw the ball twice on second down and on third down and run zero time off the clock and gave the Chargers a full 2:20 left to kick a field goal. Just a boneheaded decision, and they deserve to lose that game.
Yeah, it was terrible, and it was the Monsters Inc. broadcast of the game. When I tell you, watching some of the stuff happening in this game in the Monsters Inc. version, it's hilarious. Watching Mike Wazowski fumble the ball and then get it recovered by Sully to only be fumbled again to Mike, it's stupid. It fit perfectly for the game, and watching the clips of Sirianni's dumb face as a monster kind of made my night, even if we did have to watch him fumble the game. The Eagles, we said it last week, they're not going anywhere. I think we all agree with that. But you want to talk about a team that's not going anywhere. The Kansas City Chiefs. What happened on Sunday night? The Texans might be the scariest team in the NFL, but these Chiefs, I know we talked about it a few weeks ago. We said, are they done? I think they're done. It's like a less than 10% chance to make the playoffs. Drew, what do you make of what the hell's going on in Kansas City?
Yeah, it was a really puzzling game because it had all the makings of a classic Mahomes, Andy Reid spot. They go down 10-0 in the first half, and they completely dominate the third quarter. Just like that, it's 10-10. They're in total control. And I texted you guys right when it happened. Very questionable play call from Andy Reid, going for it on 4th and 1 from his own 30 in a game where neither team could move the ball. And if you watch that third quarter back, I don't know. I think the Texans had -2 yards in the third quarter when he made that decision to go for it. So 100 times out of, I'm a big go for it guy when you're playing a team that's maybe Cowboys-esque or Rams-esque and you need to match them score for score. But when you're just kicking the out of CJ Stroud up and down the field in the second half, I can't believe he went for it, and it totally flipped the game. Marks goes in for a touchdown, and the Chiefs continue to just do everything they used to be able to do in close games. They're 1-6 in one-score games this year. It feels like they paid for all the calls, all the bounces, everything they've gotten the last several years on these many runs to the AFC title, to the Super Bowl. It just hasn't been their year. And yeah, I think we're going to probably see Kelsey maybe call it a career at the end of this season, and they're going to be searching for answers on offense heading into the offseason.
I think so. I think it's definitely looking that way, and I agree 100%. I think regression has come back, and this monster is vicious. But in that game, we saw another thing, and talk about vicious. That Texans defense, this team is scary. I might dare to say scariest team in the NFL. Jake, I think you might agree with me, but what's your take with the Texans, especially after that game?
Yeah, no, this Texans team is insane. Their offense, like Drew said, has been terrible. Not really like great, but it's just their defense is so scary. Their statistical numbers, only 10 other teams in history have had such a good defense as the Texans have had this year. Every single one of them has made the playoffs, and 6 of them have made the Super Bowl. Now, clearly they have, an elephant in the room. Their offense is the thing holding them back, and even dumber decision by Andy Reid to go for it. Like, the one thing that this team is doing well is stopping you, especially in 3rd and short and obviously 4th and short the whole game. Why would you take that risk when it's a tight game? And yeah, I think it gives to the Texans the spark. I think they're in the run for the division now. As a person who has Jags to win the division future, I'm definitely scared, and there's no way to hedge because it's already gone. But yeah, this team is scary, and I think that them coming out of the wild card, if they come out of the wild card or winning the division, scares anybody to play them. Like, you're the Patriots or even the Jags, I guess, is the 3 seed, and you have to play Houston. You're scared. You're not feeling good.
I think that's a very good point. And again, what you said about those numbers, it is crazy when you look at it. It's not quite to the level of the greatest defenses of all time, but it's close. And we know what they say about defense in the playoffs. It wins games and it can win championships. So I think that, again, the elephant in the room, definitely that offense. But for sure, it's going to be a scary team, and I'm going to be playing on them a lot coming down the stretch, especially in the divisional race. If we want to talk about a elephant in the room, we're going to dive into college football. And I know we're a few days late on this, but my God, have we seen a storm like no other come out of this college football playoff ranking. And obviously that big elephant in the room talking about our friends in South Bend, Indiana, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, being left out. I fall on the side that actually thinks the game should matter. I think that putting in Miami over Notre Dame makes sense because they played head-to-head. What I think doesn't make sense is this committee basically saying that the rankings they put out every week don't matter, that they didn't apparently rate the head-to-head matchup till they were ranked next to each other, but for some reason all season intentionally split them with Alabama, especially coming down the last few weeks, so that way they never had to do that comparison. I know some people think it is, some people think it isn't. The ACC is involved. They're a broadcast partner of ESPN. There's a ton of stuff that are above most of our heads going on in that room. But it's a nightmare. We need to go back. Personally, I'm okay bringing back the BCS computer. Get the people out of it. It's crazy that we're having these types of flips come last minute on Sunday morning when pretty much everyone was convinced Notre Dame is in. No one's even talking about the fact that Alabama's probably the team out of all of the ones in that back half that didn't get an automatic bid that might need to be out of there if you're looking at just how they've played down the stretch. The whole thing's crazy. And then to top it all off, can we talk for a second? Honestly, Notre Dame, the softest move ever to just take your ball and go home and not even play in a bowl game. I know there's other teams opting out of bowl games. Those teams lost coaches. Their rosters are decimated by the transfer portal, injuries, whatnot. I understand why some of those teams aren't playing in their bowl game. But Notre Dame, this big, proud institution of college football, can't even be bothered to play in a bowl game because they didn't get in there with a playoff because they didn't win a game against Miami. Get out of here. The whole thing is crazy. As a college football fan, I eat the drama up, but I don't know what you guys thought about it. It's all I've seen on my timeline the last week. But Drew, do you have a different take? What's your 2 cents on the matter?
Yeah, I think you had a couple points there that I think are more so what I want to focus on than the fact that at the last possible second Notre Dame gets flipped with Miami. The rankings coming out from, I believe it's the first week of November. It's just a completely useless tool that we're having. Like, there's no point in the rankings happening until the very last, because it's not only is it not even with how they're moving teams, slotting teams. You touched on Alabama where they get outplayed by Auburn and then just get flattened by Georgia, but somehow go from 10 to 9 in 2 weeks. Like, that, explain that logic to me. But I do think Alabama deserves to be in there over Notre Dame. I think the schedule they played and some of the wins they had a little bit more impressive, but get rid of the rankings moving forward until the very end. Right now, I just see the conference championships being so deflated and so unimportant, and it creates such a useless week, where I'm questioning whether Ohio State really put in all their effort to beat Indiana in that game. Like, it's great for Indiana, but the same scenario is unfolding with where Indiana and Ohio State ended up in the bracket, where you feel a lot better about Ohio State's draw than Indiana's, the same way last year with Oregon and Penn State. Like, it's completely changed the way you look at the bracket, and I think the best fix, like I said, you get rid of the rankings. I don't think we can work back to an 18 playoff, unfortunately, which is probably my preference, but I don't think there's any way this isn't going towards 16.
I completely agree. I would also like to touch on a couple of points that you made with the scheduling. Notre Dame has no legs to stand on. They decided they want to stay independent. They're not going to join one of the big conferences, and the only two games that you schedule that are tough games, you lose both of them. So you don't have a leg to stand on to join the playoffs. Do they deserve to be there? Probably. They're definitely one of the top 12 teams, but you got to win your games, or you got to be in a conference where you have an opportunity to play for a big game and make it that way. Like, that's why Alabama's in and you're not. And with regards to the playoffs, I agree. I think there's going to be a change. Me and Cole have been talking about it. We think that there could be a change with, some type of divisions, or I don't know, something, but like, they'll probably get rid of the conference championship game because all it does is hurt people. For example, they say they don't want the conference championship to mean anything, so they put Alabama in, but yet Indiana gets the 1 seed over Ohio State because they won their conference championship game. So it means something, but it doesn't mean something. It's just like you said, a useless game that they just throw in there now that really doesn't change anything. It's just there to cause drama.
It's definitely become way more dramatic. I think in some cases they're actually okay with that they're eating it up, that the attention it's getting is what college football wanted. I just want college football to stay college football. I don't want it to start looking like the NFL where we have divisions and it's all meant to be equal and we're having all of these teams make the playoffs. Kind of the charm of college football was that you could have teams play a really good season, but it didn't necessarily mean they were national title contenders. I am fond of the old BCS days. It had its own problems, don't get me wrong. There are teams who were left out of the championship that deserve the argument, but I just hope that out of all of this we find a solution that isn't quite detrimental to college football as some of the proposed ideas out there. But most importantly, I think we just we need to all take a break for a second and realize that at the end of the day, clowning on some of these teams is just fun and it's okay and it's not as serious. I've seen a lot of people acting like this is the end of the world. Let's be honest, whoever wins this is going to be a justified champion. That's my final take on it. So I think let's just have some fun. Let's not lose college football for what it is. And that's our take on it. I guess we could kind of call that the warm-up rant. But that will bring us to the actual rant of the week. We've got a couple of passionate ones this week. Jake, you're going to start us off. You want to talk about the NFC South and what we saw last week?
Yeah, I was just, vomiting watching that Bucs game. They looked horrible. Their time management, both at the end of the half and the end of the game. I bet the Bucs first half -5.5. All they needed to do was kick a field goal at the end. They were in range for a 47-yard field goal, or no, it would have been a 50-yard field goal. And they got an offensive pass interference with 10 seconds left. What are you trying to accomplish in 10 seconds with no timeouts? Just kick the damn field goal. Just terrible clock management in the first half. And then towards the end of the game, not only that, they were 3 of 13 on third down and 2 of 7 on fourth down. At what point do you stop going for it on fourth down and just punt the damn ball? And they let Tyler Show have 55-yard rushing and 2 touchdowns. Like, it was just one of the worst performances I've seen for a team. I think they're just starting to piss me off, and I just want to see the Panthers make the playoffs and win the division over them now.
Jake's so angry about this game, he's not going to call him by his actual last name. He's still going to call him Tyler Show and not Tyler Shuck. That's how angry that game made him.
Tough name. It's a tricky one.
Very tough. Very tough. I'll talk about very tough. I had a very tough time with the Broncos-Raiders game on Sunday, and I know I'm not the only one. Very seldom do you see a game where not only the total but the spread are decided on the last play of the game. It happens once, twice a season, and it's no more painful than what we saw come out of the game on Sunday in Las Vegas. For those who didn't see it, the Raiders were dead most of the game. Broncos had the game in control. I had the under 40.5. No, plenty of people had Broncos minus 7.5. Looked like both of those were in hand. Take it to the window. You probably could have taken out an advance loan with that ticket. Then all of a sudden, gas pedal gets released by the Broncos. Kenny Pickett enters the game because Geno Smith is hurt. And apparently Kenny Pickett can play football now. I didn't know that. I know they didn't know that in Pittsburgh. I know they didn't know that in Philadelphia. But apparently he is now a great football player. Leads a great drive for the Raiders. Good. Doesn't matter. We're still chilling. All we need is the Broncos to run the clock out. They end up going for it instead of kicking a field goal that could push the total over. And all we need is with 30-some seconds left, no timeouts, Kenny Pickett to just take us on a drive that goes nowhere. And then we get a delay of game on the defense to extend the game on what was probably the last play of the game. And then Pete Carroll does something that I flat out don't understand. I don't understand the point. He kicks a field goal in a 10-point game that cannot win him the game, cannot do anything other than cover the spread and push the total over. He does it, and it screws everybody who had both of those sides of the bet. I don't understand it. I guess you can make the argument that, sure, it's like a 0.1% chance that they win instead of a 0% chance that they win because penalties and whatnot could happen. I don't care. Pete Carroll knew what he was doing. He knew he was covering the number. I don't think he knew about the total, but it just so happens that it came into play too. He's done this before in his career. This isn't the first time. He used to do it at USC. He did it in Seattle. Peter Clay Carroll, what the hell are you doing? I'm using your full government name because you deserve it. I don't get it. I'm still angry. I know everyone else is still angry. Bad beats happen. This is the worst of them. SVP, I think, covered it on bad beats this week. I can't do it. I can't do it with the Raiders anymore. Well, I can't do it with the Raiders anymore. That's a little bit of a tease to our best bets. But this Raiders team is so hard to watch, and Pete Carroll just made it even worse on Sunday. And of course, I'm only angry because I lost a bet, but that's the nature of how this works. So that's my rant. Pete Carroll, you're on the list. You're done after the season anyway, so I guess maybe you'll get your comeuppance in a few weeks.
On the winning end of that exchange, so I wasn't as upset. I think you're underscoring.
You took the Raiders?
I did, yeah. Some were calling it sharp.
My
I think
God.
you're underscoring the decision by Peyton that would have lost you the total to go for it on fourth down a little too, like, not enough, because that was a weird decision too. Like, he could have easily just kicked a field goal, even if they get blocked in return for a touchdown. Like, they're still fine. I didn't understand going for it there, and that would have pushed the total over most likely as well.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what made it hurt a little more, was that I thought I was given life by a bad decision. Yeah. The whole game, just frustrating stuff.
It was 21-7 going into that fourth quarter. They had no reason. They were a dying team. Kenny Pickett, I don't know what he just, I don't know. He's got something to prove, I guess, because everybody thinks he's trash. But, like, dude, I don't know how. I think Cole's right. It's just the frustrating part of that is it was 21-7. It looked like an easy game, and then, like, the Broncos just said, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean that's like stuff reserved for college games. Like the NFL, like these guys are still playing for something. So the fact that they just let off the gas like that is kind of crazy. Right, well, now that we got the rants out of the way, it's time for best bets. We had a 2-4 week last week. We closed it out strong with that team total on Monday night from Drew, but still a 2-4 week. We are still 16-14 on the year. That's 53.3%. So that's still just above the Mendoza line. But we're going to look to get a winning week on the board this week. Jake is going to lead us off like always. He will also be taking the Monday night game, so maybe we can close the week out strong again with his pick. Jake, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to be taking the Steelers, my favorite team, minus 3.5 against the Dolphins. Now you might say it's biased.
Seriously.
But it's not. I'm going with exactly what Drew said last week with his analysis when he took the Jets. Tua is 1-7 in his career when the kickoff temperature is under 46 degrees. His only win was last week against the Jets. Temperature in Pittsburgh is going to be around 20 degrees at kickoff. Tua also struggles against defenses that are very good at giving up pressure. Steelers are 7th in the league in sacks and 13th in the league in total pressures. Steelers are also 2nd in turnovers forced and 3rd in percent of drives ending in turnovers. So I think it's going to be a nice sloppy game, a lot of turnovers. The Steelers are going to run the ball, they're going to control the clock, and they're going to win a good game.
I think I disagree with this pick. I really do, and it's not just because I think it's a homer pick from you. I think, first of all, the run defense for the Dolphins, it looks bad if you look at the entire season. If you look at the last 6 to 8 weeks, it's been pretty solid. And I don't trust the Steelers to be able to move the ball on the ground consistently. I don't really trust Aaron Rodgers much more than I trust Tua, frankly. And I know that the news came out today as we're recording this, but TJ Watt might not play. I know that he's dealing with something with his lung. We're not really sure what it is, but that could mean he's not there. And then all of a sudden, that pass rush looks a little different without TJ Watt there. I think there's enough in the game. I kind of lean Dolphins. I might end up playing the Dolphins. Now, the 3.5 has moved down to 3, so we'll see where it ends up. I would like the 3.5. I'm going to take the Dolphins. This team has actually fought back a little bit. We all wrote them off about week 5, week 6, thought McDaniel was done for. They seem to be fighting. They technically still have a playoff chance. I don't think I can get there with you on this one. I really don't. We'll see how it plays out. Like I said, I haven't bet the Dolphins yet, but it's something I'm heavily considering. I just don't know if I can get there with this one.
I feel like people have been saying that the Dolphins have been turning it around against the run, but through the 3 games ago, 172 yards on the ground. 5 games ago, 150 yards on the ground. And in 2 of those other games, in the 80s. Like, it's not like they've been completely turning it around. They've still been getting run all over. Also,
Did
like
they play
I said,
in those games?
they played the Commanders and the Ravens. And like you said, like the TJ Watt, yes, that does scare me. 100% agree. Like, he's a crucial part of our defense. I still think he could play. But at the end of the day, I trust Herbig. I trust Highsmith. I trust like our edge rushers to get pressure on him. And I'm expecting Tua to come out with, winter in the cold Tua and throw some picks.
All right. Well, nonetheless, it's a best bet. I think you do make some points, especially given with the Dolphins' run game still not being great. It's a best bet. That's what you're going with. Well, we'll see how it plays out. It'll be fun Monday night. Maybe we'll have a little head-to-head action there to give us through Monday night, give us a little bit more of a rooting interest. But we're staying in the AFC East for Drew's pick. Drew, what are you going with?
Yep. I am going with the Buffalo Bills. They're sitting around a pick, maybe -1. Love the Bills here. Patriots have been an absolute wagon this season. Drake May, top candidate for MVP, just behind Matthew Stafford, but I think the Bills get him here. I love this matchup for the Bills. Pat's defense has not been the same since Milton Williams has been out. I've been saying it for a few weeks now after that Jets game. This is not the same team, and this is not the team that you want to play going into a cold weather game with the Bills, James Cook, Josh Allen. I think they get right in this spot. Bills defense as well. I did see Bosa practicing, Bernard practicing. Still see Will Campbell is going to be out for this game. Bills top 10 in both QB pressure rate and QB hits. Only way to get to Drake May so far this season has been to apply a little bit of pressure. And this is not a Patriots team that's been able to run the ball with much success. That's really what you want to do against the Bills. They continue to struggle. Number 7th in rush play percentage, but one of the lower efficiencies in the league, 3.9 yards a carry, just 21st in the league, averaging under 110 yards rushing a game. So, yeah, I really like the Bills in this spot. Huge red zone splits for both of these teams. Patriots have been shockingly bad, bottom 10 in the league in red zone touchdown percentage. Couldn't believe that when I saw it. And Bills are top 10. So I think this is a great spot. I think the best win New England has this season outside of the Bills has been the team that Jake just trashed, the Bucs. That win is aged like milk. So give me the Bills here.
I completely agree with this. I have also been, for the Bills a lot. Bet them last week, which obviously lost by the hook last week, which was tough. But no, I completely agree with this take. They lost to the Patriots early in the year, and I think it's a revenge game for them. And I agree with everything you're saying. I think the one thing the Bills struggle with the most is running. The Patriots just have not had a lot of success this year on the ground. The Bills' offense has also been clicking. They've been scoring a ton of points these past couple of weeks.
All right. Well, you want to talk about performance scoring points. I'm here to back a team that didn't do any of that last week. My first best bet is going to be the Washington Commanders plus 2.5 versus the New York Giants. I know it's smelly, it's stinky. This team, not good. Here's why we're taking the Commanders. Teams off of a shutout loss are 41, 24, and 2. That's 62% against the spread in the last decade. Who's the most recent team to do it? The Minnesota Vikings against the Washington Commanders last week. We saw this exact situation play out in reverse, where one team was coming off of a shutout, showed up, gave a great effort, won the game. I think the Commanders can do at least something similar. Maybe not win the game in a shutout fashion, but at least come out on top in this game against a Giants team that I really don't think should be favored against anybody in this league. I don't care who it is. I think maybe this game should be hovering right around more of a pick 'em. This Giants defense, it's not great. The only thing they can really do is rush the passer, and Marcus Mariota's actually been okay against pressure this year. But this team, they're 28th against zone read, which is heavily what the Washington Commanders offense relies on. And so I think there's going to be some opportunities for the running backs in this game. I think Marcus Mariota with his legs a little bit. I mean, they're giving up 4.91 yards per zone read play faced. I mean, that's almost half of first down every time they run it. So I like that matchup a lot. And then if we look at the other side of the ball, this Commanders defense stinks. It does. It's one of the worst, if not the worst in the entire league. The good news is the best way to beat it is to throw the ball deep. The Giants don't do that. They can't do that. Jackson Dart refuses to throw the ball deep most of the time, and even if he does, they don't have anyone that can catch it. With no Malik Neighbors in the lineup, this team, they can't complete downfield passes. It's Wan'Dale Robinson. If he can get open, or it's nothing. And the deep passing game for the Giants, when you really look under the hood, they have only attempted 32 passes over 20 yards the entire time they've had Jackson Dart at quarterback. That's 32 deep passes. There are some teams who will throw that in 2 games. And even if you're looking at those attempts, they've only completed 12 of them. That's a completion percentage of like 37%. They're not throwing the ball deep, and that's how you want to beat this Washington team. Otherwise, they're going to have to dink and dunk, run the ball, run the zone read, and all that tells me is there's going to be more chances to keep Washington in this game, if not win it outright. So I'm going to take the 2.5 points gladly. If you want to wait around for a 3, I wouldn't blame you. But again, ATS trends tell you this is a good spot to be on Washington. I don't think the Giants should really be favored. So let's go ahead. We're going to take the Washington Commanders plus 2.5.
Yeah, I like it. I've been waiting for the 3 to see if that jumps. I do like it in a teaser a little bit as well. I think cold weather game. I think the total sitting around 47. I think you could see the Giants bring this down to a snail's pace. And the Washington's been leaning into the running game a bit more. Chris Rodriguez, I'll touch on him later in the show. Like what I've seen there. And if you just look at an EPA per play perspective between Daniels and Mariota, shockingly, Mariota has been better this season. Daniels has had a season to forget, and I don't know why they keep even trying to throw him out onto the field with the season they're having. It's tankathon. Just accept that you're going to get a pick in the top 5 to 10, and let's move on to next season. But I do like them in this spot. I think the Giants are, in fact, that bad, and everything points to Washington here.
I think that's a good point you made, too, with Marcus Mariota. I feel more comfortable knowing that there's no question mark of is it going to be Daniels, is he going to get hurt? It's Mariota, and they're rolling with it. There's no questions. The game plan's installed for him this week, so that kind of gives me a little bit more faith, too. So we talked about a really bad team. Let's talk about probably the best team in the league. Jake, what do you got for your second best bet?
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams minus 5.5. I think it's at -6 against the Lions this week. The reason I like it, the Rams have been playing extremely well, probably the best power rated team in the NFL. They're 4th in points per game and 3rd in total passing yards. The Lions defense is bottom of the league, bottom half of the league in passing yards given up. So they're very susceptible to the pass, and that's what the Rams like to do most. The one thing the Lions defense does really well, though, is get sacks. They're 6th in the league in sacks. But the Rams are the second best team in the NFL, least sacks given up. So very good at protecting the quarterback, protecting Stafford, and letting him throw the ball around. The Lions also rely on their run to get their offense going. Everything goes through Gibbs, and the Rams are top 10 in run defense this year and are very good at stopping running backs out of the backfield. I think it's just a really good spot for them, a really good matchup, and I like the points in this game.
I think you're dead on with most of that handicap. To me, this game is very, very similar to the Packers-Lions handicap I gave out a few weeks ago. I know the number was different. I know the Packers were underdog in that game. I think the Rams are a better team than the Packers, so I think it's absolutely justified the fact that they're the favorite in this situation, but I think it's the same story. The way you beat the Lions is simple. You shut down the run. You make them have to throw more. Goff's not a guy that's just going to beat you through the air. He's going to get his at points, but he's not the guy that's going to scare you. And you're 100% right with this offense. Matthew Stafford is not going to be fazed by the pressure. He gets the ball out quick. I bet we're going to see a lot of that screen game with Puka Nacua. And now that they've got Blake Corum running better, they have 2 different running backs they can use. I think there's a lot of ways the Rams can win this game. I think this is a big game for the Rams. I know they have Seattle on deck. I know you could maybe see an overlook spot here, but the Rams are playing for the 1 seed, so it's not like you're going to get anything other than their best effort. I'm totally on board with this. I think anything under a touchdown, it's a Rams spot. All right. Well, Drew, this brings you to your second best bet. You're kind of joining me on the ugly dogs this week, but what are you doing here with your second best bet?
Yeah, let's drop down into the slop again. I'm going with the Saints plus 2.5. Might get a 3, but this is very simple. Bryce Young has never been favored on the road in his career. Mic drop. Stop. Like what are we seeing here? I just think this is the top of the market for the Panthers, coming off of the big upset win against the Rams, now off a bye. I know the Saints are coming off a big win against the Bucks, but I like what I've seen from this Saints team. This offense is different with Tyler Shuck behind center. I think I like what I've seen from Olave, Vele. Neal has provided a little bit more of a boost in the run game. The rookie out of Kansas. I think Kamara is going to be out still. But the best way to get after this Carolina defense is running the ball. They do prevent explosive plays pretty well, both in the pass and the rush, but they are a bit susceptible to kind of getting worn down over the course of a game by the run. So I like the Saints matchup on offense. You flip to the defensive side of the ball, best way to attack this Panthers passing attack is getting pressure on Bryce Young. And New Orleans may be old up front, but they still got some guys that can get after the passer. You slow down that rushing attack, which the Saints are doing at a top 10 rate. Slow down Rico Dowdle, and I think this is probably a low scoring game like we saw a couple weeks ago where the Saints took it 17-7 in Carolina. But I like the Saints in this one. I think we see another gross, sloppy game, and I'll take the points with the New Orleans Saints.
I disagree with this one. I think Tyler Shue is a horrible quarterback, and I think he just came off his biggest performance of the year, got a big win against a divisional opponent that, was gunning for the division, and I think the Panthers are going to come back angry. It's going to be a revenge spot. They've already lost to this team, and they have something to prove. I think they can still win this division, and I think they're going to come out firing. If I were to pick a team in this game, I would actually lean the Panthers. I think they've been, like you said, they've been showing a lot recently. Their offense has been really good. They played really well against who we just said is probably the best team in the league. And I think they're a hard team to stop. Their running game, they've got 2 running backs that are really good. And I think they're a hard team to stop.
70% of the bets on the spread for the Panthers, 88% of the bets on the money line. Give me Tyler Shuck.
Shue.
All right, we've got a battle of the names here. You know what? Let's say this. From now on this podcast, whoever wins this bet, that's the name we go by. So if the Panthers find a way to win, actually, we'll make it a cover. If the Saints can cover, he still gets to be Tyler Shuck. But if the Panthers find a way to cover, we'll have to call him Tyler Shue at least for a week. But all right, that'll bring us to best bet number 6. It's my second best bet, and if you thought the guy who brought you Washington Commanders was insane, how about I also offer you the Las Vegas Raiders plus 11.5 versus the Eagles? This, for me, is a lot. First off, teams coming off of overtime, which the Eagles are against the spread, are sub 50% against the spread. It's not anything major, but it is just a small note that I want to lead. But it's also a shorter week for the Eagles. They played on Monday. That always can cause some issues too. But the real problem here is Eagles have a serious problem in the run game. A serious problem in the run game. These offensive line injuries, we saw it again last week, are leaving them without the ability to really run. Without that one explosive kind of gadget play to Saquon, the yards per carry and all the other rush metrics for this team would look terrible again. And then you throw in the fact that Jalen Hurts just is not playing good football right now. The only thing they've been reliant on is those deep balls to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but you just can't trust that Jalen Hurts is going to be able to complete enough of them. And throw in the fact that, like we've already talked about a couple times, that Northeast forecast this weekend, it looks nasty out. It's going to be like 20 degrees. It's going to be windy. It's not going to be ideal conditions to throw the ball. And then the Raiders defense is actually number 1 in the league against the scramble. Believe it or not, they're number 1 in the league in something. It's against the scramble. That's what Jalen Hurts can do. That is a dynamic factor he has, but it's the Max Crosby effect. He keeps guys in the pocket, and it's going to be hard for them to really, I think, get anything going with this broken offense as is. And then if we flip it over a little bit, the Raiders run game versus the Eagles D, the thing the Raiders struggle the most with is winning the battle of the line of scrimmage. With no Jalen Carter in there potentially, And the Eagles being horrendous in line yards, are actually 30th in line yards. For those that don't know, that's the ability to generate positive yardage off of the line of scrimmage in the direction that you want to go. And the Eagles are terrible at that. So that's going to negate a lot of the issues that the Raiders have. I think maybe we even see Ashton Genty get going a little bit. They're playing in some Boise-esque weather. Maybe kind of rely on him. And then also him coming out of the backfield. He's been a great receiving target for them out of the backfield. And the Eagles are also towards the bottom part of the league in defending running backs out of the backfield. So I think there's enough matchup stuff here. I'm not calling for a Raiders outright win. I'm just calling for a cover here against a broken team. And I think the Raiders can absolutely hang around in this game long enough to stay inside that 11.5. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to take the ugly, stinky dog. And I'm just going to say this is way too many points with a team that probably has no business laying more than a touchdown against pretty much anyone in the league.
Yeah, I can't argue with this one. Super low total game. They could sit in at 38.5. So hard to not like the points there with the Raiders. We talked about Kenny Pickett already. Maybe Kenny Pickett is secretly been him all along. Just needed to get out of the state of Pennsylvania. Kenny Pickett revenge game. Yeah, I think it's the right side. I don't love. I mean, it's hard to love anything that's going on with any of these teams. This is a corner TV game if there ever was one, but I would lean towards taking the points with the Raiders. I see Lane Johnson didn't practice again Thursday. Landon Dickerson still not practicing. Carter still not practicing. I mean, this team splits with Johnson off the field are staggering, and I think you're right. I think they have maybe a little more success running the ball without Carter up front, even though this Raiders O-line is putrid.
It is putrid indeed, and I agree with you that somehow a team featuring a division leader and 8-5 defending Super Bowl champ is a bottom corner TV game, and you nailed it on the head. It's ugly. I honestly, and you have Red Zone on, I don't want to see this game on Red Zone. That means we're hovering in the number if we don't see it. So that's kind of my hope here. Again, give me the nasty weather. You pointed out I didn't even include that in my handicap. It's the Kenny Pickett revenge game. Give me Kenny Pickett in his revenge game, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you won't see it on Red Zone.
It's not going to pop up.
And I will be glad when they flash the final score alert for me. Well, those are our best bets for Week 15. We have a wide variety. We've got some real ugly stuff. We also threw in a couple of good teams, but we're looking to, again, have a positive week here this week. That's the goal. Before we get to Guys, Damn Dudes and tell you the guys that we like to score touchdowns this week, we just want to ask that if you like this video, be sure to leave a like below. If you want to see more of this content every week from us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell as well so you never miss an upload, and you can return every week all the way through the end of the season to the Super Bowl in February to get our breakdown every week. Well, now that we're done with best bets, we're on to a beloved segment for some here on this show, and it's the touchdown scores segment. We're naming the dudes we like to score this week. We're going to blast through all the games on Sunday, starting with the morning, leading all the way through Sunday night. We each are covering a few games, going to give the guys that we like in some of those games. Drew's going to lead us off. He's got a few games to start. Drew, take us away.
Yep. Starting with the Giants and the Commanders, I like Chris Rodriguez. He's sitting at about plus 150. Very simple. Giants give up most explosive plays in the NFL, 17%. Of their run plays are over 10 plus yards. Rodriguez has been the main guy in this backfield, 9 of 14 red zone carries since week 11. Give me Chris Rodriguez. Second game, Eagles, Raiders. I didn't love too many people here, but I went with Devontae Smith plus 215. Raiders are top 3 in the league in coverage or in zone coverage. That generally tends to be more Devontae Smith than A.J. Brown. That is my only reason for liking him in this game. So moving on. Bears, Browns. I like Quinshon Judkins plus 120. Very simple. Bears defense has struggled against the run all season. They've given up 11 touchdowns to running backs, given up just over 4.5 yards a carry. Should be a very sloppy game, but I do think Judkins continues to dominate that backfield. He's led their backfield in red zone carries since he came back from his suspension. I like Judkins in that game. Bengals, Ravens, next one. I like Isaiah Likely. Going back to the well, plus 275. Bengals can't cover tight ends. What else is there to say? Zay Flowers, non-factor outside of the 20s. This is all Isaiah Likely. He may keep dropping touchdowns, or I thought it was a touchdown, but I like him in this one. Again, make it 3 straight weeks, or at least it should have been, plus 275. And last but not least, I got 2. Same guys, Woody Marks, anytime minus 160. Even better, I like him to score twice in this game, plus 360. Cardinals can't stop a nosebleed on the ground. This team is so sorry. It's insane. I talked about my love for Blake Corum last week. He scored not once, but twice. I think Woody Marks continues his dominance. Looks like Chubb is going to miss this game potentially even better. His only competition will be a special teamer, Ogunbowale. Give me Woody Marks to score not once, but twice.
Just a quick note, Ogunbowale actually the second best athlete in his household because his wife is a WNBA all-star. So that's just a note on Ogunbowale. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. But onto my games. I've got the Patriots-Bills. This is a fun one. It's actually an exciting game. I'm going to go a little chalky, but give me James Cook, minus 125. The Pats are great against the pass this year. They're top 5, but they're bottom 5 in touchdowns given up to the running back. Bills are running the ball a lot. Give me James Cook. Simple enough. Jaguars-Jets. This is only an if he plays, and it's Breece Hall. I don't really want anyone else in this game, to be honest with you. The Jaguars have given up a lot of touchdowns. They're 4th most touchdowns to the running back. If it's not Breece Hall, I don't trust whoever the Jets run out there at running back. So if it's Breece Hall, I like the look. Don't have odds on him just because we don't know if he's going to play yet. In the Chiefs-Chargers game, got a couple of picks for you. One little longer shot. I like Oronde Gadsden, plus 300. If you trust Justin Herbert's hand enough to get it. But the Chiefs are middle of the league in touchdowns to the tight end, and he does like to dump it down to Gadsden a lot, so maybe we get a nice rack touchdown there. Otherwise, go with the reliable Rashee Rice, plus 100. The Chargers are 6th most in touchdowns given up to the wide receiver. They're also 2nd least, so almost the best in the league, giving up touchdowns to the tight end. So that means Kelsey probably not going to be a big factor in this game. Go with Rashee Rice. He's the number 1 target by far for Patrick Mahomes. And then finally, I've got the Seahawks versus Colts. Who the hell knows what's going to happen in this game? I mean, legitimately nobody, especially with the quarterback situation. If and only if you can trust the quarterback situation for the Indianapolis Colts, I say take Michael Pittman. He's plus 550. In no world other than the fact that we don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback would Michael Pittman ever be plus 550 in a game. I think there's just some value there if you do trust whether it's Phillip Rivers, Brett Rippon, Shane Steichen himself playing quarterback. I think there's some value on Michael Pittman if you have faith in the Colts.
First game I looked at was 49ers Titans. Ew. I don't like anybody in that game. The next game is Broncos Packers. I'm going back to the well. Troy Franklin, he's the number 1 target in the red zone, and Packers, the one thing they actually do give up is touchdowns to the receiver. Saints Panthers. I'm going with Tedero McMillan. As I said earlier, I think the Panthers offense has been really good this year, and he's been unbelievable. He's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I like him to score. Rams versus Lions. I like Adams 2 touchdowns. Adams has done this. Adams has done this 3 times this year, and the Lions are the 2nd worst team in the NFL giving up touchdowns to the wide receiver. They have given up 20 touchdowns this year to the wide receiver. Adams also, it's just death taxes and Devontae Adams touchdowns. So, they love to throw to him in the red zone. Last game is Cowboys-Vikings. I'm going with Ferguson. Ferguson has scored 6 touchdowns already this year. He has 21 targets in the red zone, which is insane for a tight end. And the Vikings have actually given up 6 touchdowns to the tight end this year, which is 5th.
All right, well, we like a lot of guys to score this week, and some of them we even like to score more than once. That's kind of a first for us on the podcast here. But, hey, you know what? When you see the value, you see the value. So those are our picks for the Guys Naming Dudes segment. Those are the guys we like to score this week. As always, tune in to our social media pages on Sunday morning when we put out our final 4-leg touchdown parlay to see who we like to score the absolute most on Sunday. Well, now that we covered the touchdown scores, that means it's time to cover the primetime games. We're just covering Sunday and Monday night this week because our podcast is coming out on Friday, so by the time you're seeing this, Thursday night will have already happened. For what it's worth, I was going to take the under 44.5. You'll know if I was right or not. Drew is covering the Sunday night game for us. It's Cowboys versus Vikings. We were nice enough to give both these guys their own team to cover this week, so maybe it'll be a homer pick. I don't know. We'll see what we got. But Drew, what do you got for Sunday Night Football?
I'm a cynical Cowboy fan, so I'm going Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown. Jake talked about the 2nd worst team giving up touchdowns to receivers. Well, gee, wouldn't you know it? I got the worst team giving up touchdowns to wide receivers. I'm trusting JJ 9 McCarthy to finally get some Jetta in the end zone. So give me Jefferson to score in this one.
Milk carton.
Hey, nine plus 9, if we get super 9, it's 18. So,
18.
That's worth something. I don't know, but 9, he's been a tough one all year. We'll see. But nonetheless, Drew's going to go for the touchdown score pick there on Sunday Night Football. Jake picking his beloved Steelers game. Let's see if he's picking against his team too. Jake, what do you got for Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I already described I like the Steelers, and I also said it was going to be a gross game. I like Tua to throw an interception, or Steelers parlayed with Tua to throw an interception if you want to get some extra value. I said it earlier. Steelers really good in pressure and 7th in the league in sacks. Tua does not do well under pressure, and the Steelers are also the second, are number 2 in turnovers and number 3 in percent of percent of drives ending in a turnover. So I like Tua to throw a pick at even money.
All right. Well, there are 2 different props for you guys. One on Sunday night, one on Monday night. Let's have some fun with those primetime games. We know we're all going to stay up and watch them anyway, so we might as well have something to root for. Now that we covered primetime games, we're going to hop into the prop corner. We've got a few different props here to add to our primetime pick props. Each of us have at least one. It looks like Jake might even have 2 for you. He says he's got a bonus. We're going to find out what that is. Jake, you take us away with your props for the week.
I'm going back to the well. Isaiah Likely over 32.5 yards receiving. I think it's actually moved to 36.5 already, but I still like it. Bengals worst team in the NFL against the tight end. Last week they gave up 41 to Kincaid, which hit his over that I bet. And they gave up 93 to Dawson Knox, which smashed his over. Last 4 Bengals games, they've given up 134 total yards to the Bills tight ends, 142 total yards to the Ravens tight ends, 154 to the Patriots tight ends, and 84 to the Steelers tight ends. This team is horrible against the tight end, and I'm going back to the well. Also, to note, the last 3 games, the 2 highest receivers on the opposing team for the Bengals have been the tight end. So not just the first and second, the 2 highest receiving yards have been both the tight ends in the last 2 games. One of those being the Ravens. So going back to the well. And then I have a bonus prop, which is Jamar Chase over 91.5 yards receiving. I said it last time. Jamar Chase lives to play the Ravens. He loves it. Last game against the Ravens, they did not have T. Higgins. He was double covered the whole game, and they were ahead in the game script, and he still covered his number by 15 yards. Jamar Chase just does insane against the Ravens.
There's your prop and your bonus prop for the week. Drew, what do you got for us?
Going with Woody again. Woody Marks, 100-plus rushing yards against the Cardinals. Touched on why I loved him to score already, but yeah, comes down to the game script a little bit for me on the yardage as well. High number here for the Texans, between 9.5. I think that tends to lead to Texans winning with some margin. You see Marks get into the 20-plus carry range, and with his average on the season up over 4.5, I think he goes over 100 yards in this one.
Looking to fade that very, very poor Cardinals defense. That will lead to the final prop of the weekend. I'm going with an under. These guys all went over. I'm going under. I'm going to take Caleb Williams under 202.5 passing yards. Very, very simple for me. The weather is going to be nasty in Chicago. I saw it could be -5, -10 after wind chill, so it's just going to be gross. We saw the playbook last week from the Titans that the best way to probably attack this Browns defense is to run right at it. You know Ben Johnson will do that. You know he watched that film of what the Titans had to do, and he's going to be able to do that and then some. The Bears want to run the ball anyway. I think it's going to be a nasty game, a running script. And so all that to me leads to Caleb Williams not getting over 200 yards passing. So I'm going to say take his under passing yards and hope that it's just another gross game where the Bears win the game with the ball on the ground. All right, well, we touched on the props that we like for the week. That means now we're going to look ahead a little bit. We're going to hit that futures market. Every one of us has a future that we like right now. Both of these guys actually have college futures. Jake is a little bit of an in-between college and NFL, but some college main futures. And I've got one for the NFL for us. But Jake, what is that little college NFL combo future you like?
Yeah, I like Ohio State to win the national championship, parlayed with Bills to win the Super Bowl. I know I got clowned a little last week with the Indiana game, but I was wrong. It was an Indiana spot. I think Ohio State didn't care too much in that game. Offensively, they had a very bland script, and Indiana played a really good game. But I still think that Ohio State is the best team in college football, and I think that they... after seeing that draw that they got, I think it's a very good draw for them to win. And the Bills, the AFC is a very inexperienced and no quarterback in the AFC that is currently in the playoffs right now has won a playoff game other than Josh Allen. I think the Bills have a very good chance to make it out of the AFC, and by the time the national championship happens, the Bills will be in the second round of the playoffs. They might be playing the Steelers in the first round, which is a good matchup for them. And then if you're really afraid of somebody like the Patriots, you can hedge at that point if you want. But at plus 3,300, if you get that Ohio State, I think I like my chances at the Bills coming out of the AFC. Obviously, the NFC is a very scary team, and they will probably be favored, but you can always hedge at a plus 3,300. But if I were picking, I think the Bills are the team to beat in the AFC, and I think they have a good chance at winning the Super Bowl, and I still think Ohio State is the best team in college football.
How could you forget your quarterback? You said quarterbacks in the AFC haven't won a playoff game. Your quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers has a few playoff wins. I don't know if you just forgot him intentionally, or is that me think the lady doth protest too much? They're not going to be a playoff team? I don't know. What are you talking about there?
I mean, that was like 10 years ago. I mean,
no, that's fair. I definitely, at least personally, don't find the Steelers to be much of a threat if you're banking on a Bills playoff run, so I'm kind of in agreement with you on that one. All right, Drew, what's your college future?
Yeah, I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs to win the national title. It was sitting around 7.5 when the playoff bracket came out. It's now down to 6-1. I still think there's some value there. Pretty much a free path, in my opinion, getting Ole Miss without Lane in the second round. So I think what this really ends up being is a 6-1 ticket on them beating Ohio State in the semifinal. I think you see that line somewhere between 3.5 and 6. I would imagine maybe 4.5. And that would equate to about like a 170 to 190 money line. So I really think the winner of that game wins the national title. As good as Indiana looked in that game, as good as they've looked all year, I just don't trust them to beat Ohio State again or to outcoach Kirby Smart. The best second half adjuster in the sport. And you've seen this Georgia defense really find its way. They've been stopping the run a lot better. They're getting pressure with 4, something they hadn't done all season. I mean, they dominated Alabama in that game. That game was not competitive. You didn't see the classic DeBoer first quarter script that we were all expecting. They just took it to them right away. That punt block in the first, it kind of changed the tide in the first, and they didn't really look back after that. So I love what I'm seeing from Georgia. Their offense has looked good most of the season, a little shaky against Georgia Tech, but I think you had a bus parking game from Kirby in that one. So I think they're live to win the national title and not getting enough respect.
For what it's worth, throughout the season, have thrown a few different college futures. I'm on both Ohio State and Georgia, so kind of agree with both of you guys. And as long as that's the matchup, I feel like I'm sitting pretty. I will say the idea of Kirby Smart versus Kurt Cignetti, it's must-see TV. That's pure cinema, so I don't hate that. But, Ryan Day rematching, there's some good drama there, too. So as long as Indiana comes out of the other side, I think it should be fun for at least one of you guys, and I'll be happy either way. That will bring us to my future. I'm going with the NFL. It's a smaller future, but I think there's value in it still. I'm taking the Houston Texans to win the AFC South at plus 160, plus 170, depending on what you can get. Shop around. I think this Texans team, we covered it already, they're scary. They've got multiple matchups coming up that could make or break for them as well as for the Jaguars, the way that this division ends up going. And I think that this team is live to make it. That defense just gives me hope with the fact that they can win more games down the stretch. And I think it should be closer to an even split on the odds here, even though the Jags are up one game. I think trust DeMeco Ryans in that defense to see if they can't win that division out.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. As I said earlier, I'm scared. As a person who has a Jags ticket to win the division, I am afraid.
We covered the futures, so now that means the only thing left in the show is just our best of the rest. We're going to clean up any other plays we like this weekend that didn't really fit into a category. We've got a couple of them here for you guys. Jake, you're going to lead us off. What is it that you've got that you want to tell the people about?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a Bears-Commanders teaser. Bears came off a tough loss last week where they were in the game, basically in reach of the game the whole way. It was a 7-point game the whole way. And obviously, if he sees DJ Moore, could go to overtime, and it's a whole new ball game. Hand up, though, I was wrong. I said that I didn't like the Packers last week and that they were the spot. I really like it as a good comeback week against the Browns. I think we've seen the Browns. Shedeur he actually played decently last week, but their defense looked horrible. I don't know what's going on in Cleveland. I think that they're just all over the place. They're kind of just done with the season. So I like the Bears in that one. And as Cole described earlier and Drew, the Commanders, I think it's a really good tee spot. It's an under type of game, and I think it's a good spot for them in general. So I like the Bears -1.5 and Commanders +8.
All right, Jake's giving you a nice little teaser play that he likes this week, teasing through those key numbers, a couple of low totals, at least one very low total in that game. Can't say I disagree, especially given it features one of my best bets. That will bring us to the final bet that we're going to give out here this week. This one's going to be a college one. This is a special one. This is America's game, Army versus Navy. And we all know the golden rule in a service academy game is take the under every time. Well, as the great Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. We're going over the total this year. This is the year that it happens. It happened last year. This is the year we finally see the first two totals go over in a row, but it's happening again this year. Both of these offenses fly. They're throwing the ball more than ever, and I think that we're going to see both teams get into the 20s. I don't know which side I necessarily like enough to lay aside, but let's have some fun in the Army-Navy game this weekend. We're going over the total. Take it. Enjoy the game. It's one of the great traditions in all of college football.
Thought he had a different quote when they did Yale, Harvard to a certain young man on the show, but I might have been crazy.
Yeah, I think he did. I don't know if we can use the word he used about the short little man.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's permitted anymore, so we'll just leave it at that. But if you don't know what we're talking about, go look up Lee Corso Harvard Yale pick, and it is one of the all-time college game day clips. All right, well, we covered the best of the rest, so that brings us to the end of another show. We're going to recap kind of what we're doing over here. We have a couple of agrees this week. It seemed like we all had some consensus on Drew's pick of the Bills against the Patriots. Jake even threw in some love for them on the futures market, so we're all kind of in alignment that this is a game that we think the Bills can take care of. I also agreed with Jake's best bet of the Rams. I think it's a good spot for them to take care of business against the Detroit Lions. But where it gets juicy this week is we had some real head-to-heads this week, some real disagreements, two in particular. I disagreed with Jake's pick of the Steelers on Monday night. I think it could be a spot where the Dolphins find a way to at least cover the number, if not win that game outright. So we're going to wait all the way till Monday night to see who's right on that one. And then Jake and Drew kind of went at it over the Saints and Panthers. This is actually the Tyler Shuck, Tyler Shoe Bowl. The team that covers actually gets to decide how we say his name for the rest of the season. So there are a lot of stakes in that game for us as far as disagreements go on head-to-head. So a lot to look out for this weekend. We'll be checking in on all of those games, and we'll update everyone next week as the outcome of a couple of those things. But like I said, that brings us to the end of another week. We covered all of our best bets. We jumped into the touchdown scores we liked this week. We gave you our picks for the primetime games coming up this weekend. We threw out some props, some futures. We touched on some college games, as well as a teaser in the best of the rest section. So again, it's another week. We're going to look to find some winners. But if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, drop a like on the video. Make sure you leave some comments. Tell us what you think about the games this week. If you agree, disagree, if you want to clown us, if you want to praise us, whatever it is, make sure you drop it below. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss any of our videos coming out. We cover the NFL every week, and we're going to be covering it all the way until the Super Bowl, so you're not going to want to miss out. Hit that bell so you get notified as soon as we put up the posts. And then otherwise, we wish everybody good luck on their wagers this weekend as we head into another week of NFL football.
There you
Let's have a
go.
week.